faster than our brains may be able to adapt, the same tools that were designed to help us move through life faster, more efficiently, and with ease might be the reason why we fail to do just that. More isn't better. What good is all the information in the world if we lose the skills to process it without crutches? Hello, my name is Anaïs Picciano, and today I'll be speaking on how the incorporation of the internet into our daily lives affects our habits, cognition, and society as a whole. The convergence of the internet and tech with daily life seemingly happened overnight. So fast even that most people in this room probably remember when the internet became open to the public in the early 90s. Today, about 43% of adults in the US say they access the internet several times a day, while 41% say they use it almost constantly, and that's just adults. Across the world, young adults have much higher rates of internet and social media use and are much more likely to be using it constantly. Having the internet and all that stem from it in our lives is undeniably making changes to our everyday habits, and having these tools makes challenging tasks easier and faster, which we believe makes us more productive. However, by learning to rely on quick and easy solutions, we are also making a habit of skipping over crucial cognitive processes. That means that this developing technological era is not only changing and influencing central parts of our lives, but also our brains. So what about our brains is changing, and how does it happen? First, our brains are malleable. The way we adapt to function in a changing environment is to have a brain that is good at adapting to. What allows that to adapt is its neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to reorganize neural pathways with used experiences, and is constantly happening throughout our entire lives. But there's one special neuropsychological theory that affects us the most online, the Hebbian theory. The Hebbian theory explains that when we repeat certain thought processes or behaviors, the neural circuits involved in those processes strengthen, while the ones having to do with processes that we use less often diminish. It can be summed up as this famous saying, "What fires together, wires together." Because of this, the average person who uses the internet or digital tools for at least 7 hours each day will undoubtedly experience neural reorganization. This can be very bad for a few major reasons. Repeating the wrong behaviors can lead to things like social media addictions, and continual use of social media and the internet would only make focus, memory, and attention spans worse. And we already see how true that is. Since the 90s, our attention span, the frequency that we switch tasks, the time we stay in deep focus, and the time it takes us to refocus after an interruption has all changed by dramatic measures. Speaking of the impact on our attention, let's talk about social media. Our brains are more susceptible to all the ways that the internet triggers harmful digital habits, and social media companies profit the most from having control over our attention. Thus, social media as an industry is focused around manipulating our neural reward circuits, especially by making use of the effects of dopamine. You're probably already familiar with some of the ways that they do this. For example, the ... when someone's talking in a text message, or getting a new For You page every time that you refresh a page. But did you know some social media platforms even withhold likes on a post to deliver them in larger bursts later to maximize the effects of dopamine? And the more we repeatedly interact with these triggers, the more we reinforce the neural connections involved with them, with checking these notifications, and that ends up dissolving the ones responsible for focus. But there are even more ways that the internet affects our brains, specifically caused by the overwhelm that the internet causes. Since the internet was made open to the public, anyone with access to the internet has access to an overwhelming amount of information. Currently, the amount of information that is created every 2 days is roughly equivalent to the amount of information that was created between the beginning of human civilization and the year 2003. Not surprisingly, this can lead to information and cognitive overload, which is when our brains try to handle more mental processes than they are able. that overload can cause many people to seek efficiency with less effort, which makes me question, what are you willing to sacrifice for faster, easier results? Are you willing to sacrifice your critical thinking? Cognitive offloading, defined by PubMed Central, is the delegation of cognitive tasks to external resources in order to reduce mental demand. Today, more and more people are offloading their cognition, whether they realize it or not. And it happens pretty frequently with the use of AI. And here's how. AI offers to relieve us of some stress by providing users with easily accessible, authoritative, and factual sounding information to help users with problems. However, using AI can have some serious consequences when cognitive offloading is in the picture, because it removes the opportunity for independent thinking, a process that we use to adapt and regulate ourselves in the world around us. There are many studies being done to assess the effects of cognitive offloading with AI. In a study done with students in Turkey, the students were tested on their proficiency in problem solving. Results showed that students performed better with the use of AI, but when it was taken away from them, they performed even worse than if they had never used AI in the first place. This highlighted how using AI can affect our learning skills, development, and cognitive ability. Plus, there were even risks to our mental health if AI is used as a coping mechanism. When reliance on tools discourages engagement and only provides advice or quick solutions, users could become poor at skills like introspection or self-monitoring, and could be left helpless when AI is not available to them. In general, when independent thinking is taken away from us, we lose the ability for deeper thinking and not be misled by surface level distractions that prevent us from doing so. The issue isn't thinking that a little difficulty is a bad thing or not worth the trouble of going through when easier and faster solutions are available. Too much stress can cause overload, of course, but just a little stress can do a lot of good for our cognitive processes and thinking. Exercising our brains keeps us more resistant to the effects of continually using the internet and tech. And that's why I want to argue that less is more. In this era, information is just as accessible as it is overwhelming. As opposed to a few decades ago when the internet didn't exist, you can find solutions to a problem or question at your fingertips. That loss of challenge when seeking information skips over deep thinking. This especially applies to young people who may struggle to learn how to find and process information, and learning how to sift through so many stimuli during their critical developmental years can be a huge impact on how well they do that. But the more we exercise our brains, the better off we will be at tackling challenges and problems. It's through all of this overstimulation and noise, though, that I notice when my brain feels the most calm and focused. Personally, I have found that my greatest cognitive bounds and writing ideas happen either in the dead of night or super early in the morning. Being in the dark with no sound and little to no thoughts in my head, I can finally focus on one thing at a time. And a major reason why this is true is silence. Studies show that silence creates a unique neural landscape. In particular, it accesses the DMN, or the default mode network, which is a network of brain regions that are associated with introspection, memory, and imagination. Therefore, activating the DMN facilitates reflection, insight, and problem-solving skills, contributing to better emotional resilience. However, the DMN is suppressed in noisy environments, meaning that the time when the brain can truly reflect on experiences and explore thought processes is really only during moments of silence. So, with that in mind, there are still things in our lives that we can control that will help us focus through the noise. Some ways we can keep track of our thinking involve being conscious of the habits we let ourselves develop. You can ask yourself these questions. How much of your daily processes are associated with online activities? Are you becoming dependent on your online and digital tools? You should also be conscious of what you're actively getting out of the internet. Are you making meaningful connections? Are you actively problem solving? Are you using creative thought? Are you sustaining your focus? Are you building knowledge? Or are you making shallow connections and passively consuming? But what's most important in the end is to learn how to use these tools we've been given. Information and tools are not something we should have to remove to protect our thinking. They should help us advance our development and make knowledge accessible. But with how fast the world is changing with the advancements of the internet and tech, it can be scary to realize that we don't know where this era will take us. We've officially crossed into uncharted territory, and for better or for worse, humanity will change because of it. Thank you very much.